Hi, welcome to your favorite Not a Doctor's page, where I talk about psychiatric issues and rare diseases and other things like that. Today we are going to talk about a stress response called fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Now this came about because my friend posted a video and she was like, well, I was fawning, and I looked at the example that she gave and I'm like, honey, you were not in fawn, you were in freeze. And we were arguing back and forth, and I had to explain to her what freeze looks like versus what fawn looks like. And that made me realize people might not realize what these different stress responses look like. So I'm going to give you examples of what fight, flight, freeze, and fawn look like. So when you have them, you will recognize them, because sometimes you don't recognize your own emotions, and it helps to recognize them so you understand what you're going through. So we're going to start with fight. Fight is an obvious one. You go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Let's say somebody doesn't want to give you back your, pencil. You go into fight mode. Like, you're gonna give me that pencil, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, that's fight. You're just so defensive. You're so angry. You just go into that fight right away because you're on edge. You're fighting. That's fight. Flight. You see danger, and the first thing you do is run away. You see perceived danger, and the first thing you do is you run. You're a runner. You're a track star. You're a runner. You go. You're out of there. That's flight. Now, freeze and fawn, those are two different things. Freeze. So the example that my friend was saying was that she brought a dish to a party, and nobody ate the dish, so she wanted to take the dish home, and the friend was like, no, we're gonna eat it later. So she was like, oh yeah, okay, no problem. And she was like, yeah, I was like fawning. And I'm like, no honey, you didn't fawn, you froze, because you didn't say, okay, I'll just pick up my Tupperware later, because she wanted the Tupperware back. I don't know, whatever. I was like, no, you froze. Like, I freeze. I'm a freezer. Like, my kid was in the pool once, and his head went under for like a second, and I just stood there. I froze. And my friend jumped into the pool and got my kid out and was able to save my kid, but I froze. Like, if it's like a deer in the headlights kind of thing, you know how deer in the headlights are just like, that's a freeze response. That is also a trauma response. It's a freeze response. Now, what's a fawn response? The fawn response is usually if you've had some trauma that's not so comfortable, and your way of responding to it is kind of flirtatious. You're like, you become giggly. You're like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, you try to diffuse the situation by kind of being a little flirty. Like, and it usually happens to victims of, that's a fawn response, where, like, let's say, for example, with my friend's situation with her Tupperware, she was saying she was fawning, right? But if she was fawning, she would have been like, oh my god, yeah, for sure, you could keep it, it's okay, oh my god, like, totally, when in reality, she didn't really want her to keep the Tupperware. She was like, she wanted her Tupperware back, but she would have been like, oh my god, it's okay, it's like, you're giggly and you're happy, but inside you're really not. That's a fawn response. And a fawn response is also a trauma response, because you're kind of trying to protect yourself by diffusing the situation with kind of flirty, giggly, sort of, that kind of behavior. But it's not okay too, So once you recognize these responses, you'll be better at managing them, because you'll say, oh, okay, I'm in a fight response right now. Let me calm down. I'm in a flight response now. Let me stop and reevaluate the situation. I'm in a freeze response. Let me unfreeze and think rationally. I'm in a fawn response. Let me stop fawning and let me think, like, what do I really want? Because I'm not in danger anymore. I don't need to do these things anymore. These are trauma responses that I don't need to do anymore. I hope that helps somebody today. Anyway, have a great day.